Shalom Aleichem. We're beginning the fourth series of these Divrei Torah, meaningful ideas on the Parsha. We begin Sefer Bereishis again. It's be a little bit. My head is in a bit of a darker place than it normally would be because of the slaughter going on in Eretz Yisrael, the ongoing war. May the Dvar Torah be as chus for safety and Yeshua for all of our brethren in Eretz Yisrael, and especially for those being held hostage currently in Gaza. May Hashem protect them and watch over them and bring them a safe return. So we have in the Parsha, we have the story of Adam Harishon and the Eitz Hadas. And we know that the snake convinces Adam and Chava to eat from the Eitz Hadas. And in Perek Gimel is where the story takes place. And Hashem goes to Adam Harishon and he says, "Why did you eat from the tree?" And Adam Harishon says, "The woman, she made Haisha Shenasati money. The woman who gave it to me, she made me do it." So Hashem goes to the Isha and he says, "Mazel Sisa, what'd you do?" She says, The Nachash tricked me, he got me to eat." And Hashem goes and Hashem curses the Nachash. Hashem curses the snake that he's going to lose his, apparently he was going to be given a superior status to other animals and sort of like second only to man. And instead he lost his legs and now he crawls on the dirt and he is cursed for all time. Chazal tell us that the curses on the land and on Adam and Chava will be rescinded in the end of days, but never the curse on the snake. And Chazal raised the question, how come Hashem doesn't approach the snake the same way he approaches Adam and Chava? Like, why did you do this? And Chazal explained, Rashi brings it, from here we see that that Hashem we don't look for chusim for what's called a mesis. A mesis, I'm going to use that term a lot, is one who seduces others to evil. It's specifically used in the context normally of somebody who seduces their fellow Jew to avodah zarah. But we find it here being applied to the snake, that the snake is a mesis. He seduces Adam and Chava to rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and break the one commandment they've been given. And he's called a mesis. And so Hashem, the Chazal made clear in the Medrash and in the Gemara in Sanhedrin that he had what to say. There is what to respond here. Divrei Adav, Divrei Talmud, Divrei Mishalmin. You have a choice between listening to me or listening to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're blaming me, they listen to them. Why would you blame me? He had what Maharsha explains, he had other tainas as well. But at the end of the day, Hashem did not give him the opportunity to advocate for himself at all. Hashem just goes straight to cursing him because he was a mesis. And the Torah really talks about the mesis from a halachic perspective in Devarim Yud Gimel Zayin. It talks about when you have somebody who goes to their fellow Jew and says, "Would you come with me to serve avodah zarah?" So the Torah is very clear. Lo sovelo, Rashi explains, "V'haftarecha kamocha," not him. Don't love him. Mosish melav, don't listen to his pleadings for mercy. It says, "Azov ta'azav imo," not him. Lo sachos einecha alav, don't have any compassion for him. The Torah says, "Lo samna damriyecha," says Rashi, not him. Lo sachmo, don't have any, don't look, that's what the pasuk here is saying, don't try to find ways to get him off the hook. Lo sachas alav, don't cover up for him. You have a chiyuv to speak out if you have this incriminating information on him. And so the Torah shows an unusual harshness towards the mesis. And the Sefer Chinuch points out the mesis is not necessarily somebody who did avodah zarah himself. It's not somebody who is successful in getting others to do avodah zarah. It's somebody who tried to incite others to avodah zarah. It's just the speech alone has the power to put them in this category of the mesis. And normally we try to find ways out. For somebody commits a crime, even a murder, the Beis Din is looking for people to come and advocate for them. And the mesis, Beis Din is doing the exact opposite. They're doing their best to convict the person and punish him to the fullest extent of the law, which I believe is the death penalty. And so we see the severity the Torah places on a mesis, on a person who incites others to evil, incites them, specifically the term of a mesis in this context is the concept of somebody incites others to avodah zarah, to deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and go follow a different path. And we have to pray, even though today we don't have such a Yetzer Hara for avodah zarah, but if we had groups that, when people struggle with their Yiddishkeit, there are groups that are run by from Elocha people, and they try to help people find even if it's going to be a different path, a path that will work for them. But if there would be such a thing as just an organization whose sole purpose is help people leave HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help people leave the Torah, then that would be maybe in the category of what the Torah means by a mesis, of someone who's just get people to abandon Hashem and leave the faith. That I could hear that being called a mesis. And it just gives us a sense of how severely the Torah treats a mesis, different than everybody else, how severely the Torah places how dangerous and powerful it is in the Torah's eyes when a person seduces others to evil. And so Minchas Chinuch makes clear that the concept of a mesis is a Jewish concept. A guy who would try to seduce others to Avodah Zarah is not a mesis. But it did get me thinking about our current situation where our enemy is tremendous inciters. And his children are unfortunately brainwashed from the cradle already that Jews are evil and Jews are the source of all their problems in life. And that's a major part of how we end up in this current situation where people could be so brutal and merciless. We know para-adam, and at the same time there's also this element on a practical level of the brainwashing of it and the inciting of it, and we just appreciate how seriously Hashem takes it, this idea of incitement to evil, and how much Hashem cares about it and how it won't go, we know that it won't go unpunished. If this is how we're commanded to treat it, imagine how HaKadosh Baruch Hu treats it. Also like to point out the harshness which the Torah attributes to them, which the Torah deals with the mesis, that the Shari Tshuva brings in this context. Chazal say, the pasuk says, "Al titzadek harbe," don't be overly righteous. Chazal tell us that a person who's cruel, a rachman an achzarim, will come to be an achzar an rachmanim. A person who's cruel to the person who's compassionate to cruel people who are not deserving of compassion, that misplaced compassion, that misplaced morality and moral equivalence will actually lead them to be cruel to the compassionate. And we see it in today's world, we see it in today's situation, that because we're so busy trying to turn the cruel one into a victim and empathize with him and say it's not his fault and all these things, we end up, that leads to almost that the only way to really do that is to demonize the real victims and to be an achzar an rachmanim. It's part of the dynamic that we see, and we see this clear demarcation the Torah is making, that evil is evil, and we can't allow ourselves to be influenced by the culture that we're in, where everyone's a good guy, and even the worst of the worst, they're really a good guy. We really have to have compassion on them. It would seem that it doesn't always align with the Torah, meaning with Hashem's value system. Just like to close with an especially dark idea that we find of how Hashem views those who have brutalized our people. There's some people, they have the minhag before benching, that when it's not Shabbos Yom Tov, they say Al Naros Bavel, Kapitel Kuf Lamed Zayin. It ends off, Ashrei Sheishalim Moch and Skemur Shagamal Tvanu. Fortune is the one who will pay back our oppressors, our Babylonian oppressors, the way that they affect us. The pasuk is very sharp. Ashrei Sheyochez V'nipetz Esel Alayich El Asela. Fortunate is he will grab their babies and smash their skulls against the rocks. And as I discussed with my Rav, this is obviously the Jews with Chas v'Shalom to be so brutal people. And he told me that historically when we've been tortured our enemies, we've been punished for it. It's not the Jewish way. So what does this pasuk mean? That it means that we look at it from a national perspective and we say, those who brutalized us, may they be brutalized to the level that they brutalized us. And even though it's hard for me to fully wrap my head around as an American, but that this is what we say in Tehillim. This is the Torah's value system, that the individual is an individual, but the nation is a nation, and those who would brutalize us, we don't wish good upon them. We wish to see that they should be brutalized the same way that we were brutalized. And we keep strong in our faith of HaKadosh Baruch Hu protecting us. May Hashem protect us, protect those fighting for us, protect those of us in harm's way, and may Hashem, when we see Yeshua and Bracha, the Mitzvah Hashem have happier Dvar Torahs in the coming weeks. Wish you a good Shabbos.